50 players, and we exceeded the amount. So we really thankful. So that is a what you call a goal that is set up by our sponsors Dana Isukan KBS ESI Esport Integration, Dana Rakan Muda, and also Rakan Muda Ragan Digital. So those are our sponsors. So again, we thank you so much, and they do have their goals and everything. So we achieve it with all your helps. Without you guys, we won't be able to achieve this wonderful tournament here today. So again, before anything, let me introduce my co-caster again. So Contra, welcome on stream.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's definitely great to be hanging around here. And finally, I make my return back into Wild Rift. Of course, we really got to thank our dear host for making this possible as well. And of course, huge shout out to the people behind Instalock Esports, as they're an esports organizer in Sarawak. And also, as the co host, we got UNIMAS Esports Club, University Malaysia Sarawak Students Official Esports Club, and WSPL Committee. You guys have been fantastic. So, of course, with that being said, before we kick things off, we also gotta first thank all of our dear partners for making this possible, as this is supported by Unimass Entrepreneurship Center, as well as our main streamer Gizmo Arena, which is an experienced esports company and cyber cafe in Sarawak. If you guys want to have a place to hang out and play some games, you know where to go with Gizmo Arena. So with that, of course, setting the tone, we do have ourselves some amazing regional finalists that is going to prepare for a huge best of three showdown. And we look no further than Absolute Zero to take on Outdated Grafters in the upcoming match. So, Dango, you've probably seen them in action before. What can you really tell me about these two teams who are about to lock horns right now as we go into our first game of the series?
Okay, right. So this is a funny screen we're watching, but no worries. Okay, so Absolute Zero, as you guys know, these two names are rarely seen actually in our region, MSB region, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei region. So actually, they change what you would call it. They change name. Entering tournaments, some people decide to change name. So Absolute Zero is actually Kingsman. So as you guys know, Kingsman had a few controversies previously here and there, and also, but they're still here in the game. They showed that they really can play the game, and they are our first finalists for the day. And on the other side is our Outdated Drafter. These guys has a lot of history with them. So Contra has been casting for Wire for I think it was like the past 3 years, and he still remembers the names of the players from Outdated Drafter. So these are OG players. Yeah, the name shows, Outdated Drafter. They are the OG, probably if you see them in real life, they might be 40 years old. I don't know. But yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, so they are Outdated Drafter. If you look at their logo, it's bending forward. So technically Outdated Drafter. So these two, you guys should know, and also Team Enigmatic, and also Wolfgang Legion. These are our previous champions. They are finally in Outdated Drafters now. So we are in our first champion select of the game. Again, this is a fearless draft. So which champion has been picked cannot be picked again. So you guys can see the fearless draft band champions in the bottom there. And yeah, no worries. This is just a starting. So a starting of the game, we should be able to see a lot of more focus band instead of a meta band instead.
Yeah, and we are already looking at some really strong picks over onto each respective lanes, and there's a little bit more priority on the list of supports, as you see Bard, Morgana, as well as Nautilus already being axed off the list, and it looks like Absolute Zero wasted no time to secure themselves that Nidalee onto their side. That's already telling you that they want to get some high tempo going on in what they really want to achieve with this draft.
Yep, and with the Nidalee pick, we know that even though Nidalee was technically nerfed, but she is still a very, very strong champion, with just a huge amount of AoE to clear those jungles. And, once that one spear hits, she's going to pounce onto you and just absolutely wrecks you. But Rumble pick here as the counter, Javan pick here as the counter. The Nidalee will have to use a lot of space. His draft needs to give him enough freedom for him to just run around into the backline, find those carries in the backline to be able to actually carry this game.
Yeah, and to also answer back to the Rumble, they're taking that Gwen. So you can at least hold on pretty firmly to really have a decent laning phase up against the Rumble. So we'll have to really see how does both junglers actually create a great dynamic in that sense. Meanwhile, Corki now being picked up, as we will see the final answer to our first phase of the draft coming in from the side of outdated drafters. So far, it's not really too telling on what outdated drafters are bringing to the table, other than those massive AOE in the team fight. You can already imagine the Cataclysm connecting alongside with the Rumble, and now to ensure that they will have a steady engagement, they will just bring in potentially a Leona, but instead, ooh, a Camille. Now this is getting more and more interesting.
Yeah, Rumble mid here, perhaps Camille top lane, J4 jungle. If you want to spice it up a bit, it might be a J4 support. I don't know, but yeah, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. But like I said, Hextech Ultimatum, Cataclysm, Equalizer. Who gets caught is definitely gonna be dead for sure. And Corki will have to find a way. Zhonya's for first item, can you? Because the enemy team's definitely gonna jump onto you.
Yeah, it definitely will be a very daunting task, which means that these members of Absolute Zero, they kind of need to find some heavy crowd control, because you take a look at the list of all these champions that they locked in. There's just almost close to zero hard crowd control on the list. So they did hover onto a Leona coming in from the side of outdated drafters. Do they really want to look to yoink that away? Because now the pool is dwindling down, and we're also seeing that Braum taken off the list. No Galio, and that's just this absolute focus onto the side of these members of out there drafters by taking out more ADC options. But I would still say it wouldn't really impact them all too much, because right now this is a draft that is looking a lot more solid coming from outdated drafters.
Yeah, and yeah, they might be drafting outdated a bit, but yeah, it's a very solid draft. But if looking at the Absolute Zero side, they do have a lot of shredding. Corki can shred you, Gwen can shred those tanks, but can they do enough damage before these tanks get so much health into the late game? And Sivir, a very, very scary ADC in the backline, they can scale up into the late game. So how Absolute Zero draft and pick the last two champion is very crucial. And Soraka is being hovered here. What do you think about this Soraka pick here?
I would say that it buys them just about enough time, so they just really want to play it safe, allow that Corki to really hit that late game power spike. He needs that 3 items up online before he could just start to really tear down his opponents. But I'm still not liking the fact that they don't have enough crowd control, which is why they're considering this Maokai, which may actually go into the jungle as well, since they did manage to secure that Aatrox. I do believe this might just be pretty much a, well, interesting draft, because we're potentially even seeing a possibly where the Maokai can go to the jungle and mid lane Italy, maybe, where you could just toss a couple of spear. It's a very
Faker?
old school kind of style. Yeah, like it's a throwback to 2015, 2013 kind of era. I'm not quite sure, but hey, it's gonna be the last pick on that Orianna. It really feels like these guys, they don't want to play conventional. They just want to muscle their way through each and every team fight.
Yeah, and looking at that Orianna pick, last pick, man, it reminds me of a J4 Orianna combo, perhaps a Hextech ultimate. Camille just gonna jump onto you, and a lot of CC here. But if Absolute Zero manages to find the Sivir and Orianna in the back line, the outdated drafters will have still have enough amount of damage. These are bruisers, not proper tanks. Like Camille can still do damage. Rumble, even though it's a full AP, but wait, where does Rumble go now?
He's
I'm not
still going to
confused.
be a top
Yeah.
lane. So it is a Camille support, which I have seen in the old days of League of Legends, where this is the way that they really want to look for him to really start a fight. You go in, get the Hextech ultimate to really lock them into the target, and it makes things so much easier for the Orianna to come in with that massive shockwave.
Yep, so this is our first game of the regional finals. Okay, this is a best of 3. So just in case you guys didn't know, we have 3 skins to give out. So 3 epic skins. So comment which team you think will win, and maybe perhaps add a little spice onto your comments. Just like I love Wild Rift because it has my champions. Please come back, Wild Rift Esports, something like that. If your comment catches our eye, perhaps you're gonna be one of those winners. So hopefully you guys are one of those lucky ones. So if you guys don't want to comment, no worry, I will comment, and I would want to keep those skins for myself. Actually, 3 free skins, who doesn't want it? So this is our first game of the day. It's a fearless draft, so all these champions cannot be played again. So the first game is going to be very, very crucial for both teams here.
Yeah, I like the fact that you actually highlighted that this is a fearless draft. So a lot of all these alt picks that they are being expended right now will not be used in the following game. And I really want to see how much does this actually impact all the players on board, because there's a lot of powerful options now being played out, such as the Gwen, which we've seen, being a destructor of all these solo queues. But over here, when it comes down to professional play, it really boils down to who really works best as a team. So we really want to see, how does Absolute Zero now deal with this situation where it is pretty much a very simple game plan coming in from the side of outdated drafters. They want to force those team fights, but the question remains, how does Absolute Zero counter all these kind of measures and look for those isolated targets? Because looking from their kind of draft, I think pickoffs is kind of the name of the game for them, especially when you have an Italy.
Yeah, and also a really, really important player to look after is Musagi here, the Aatrox player here. He is so famous with his Aatrox. We've seen in our past MSB tournaments, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei tournaments, we've seen a lot of Musagi playing Aatrox, and he has been tearing the Rift apart. So we'll go into our first game of the day. Waru Shattered Pacific Legion out the Absolute Zero versus the outdated drafters. This is a best of 3 again, fearless draft. So if we can zoom out a little bit, it will be very, very nice for us. And we have the mid lane Oriana, and who's the support actually? It's a Camille support here.
Yeah, this is absolutely spicy to really set the tone straight. Now, what's really interesting about the mid lane matchup is that, of course, the Oriana absolutely outranges the Gwen, but once she does actually have her ult available, then it shouldn't be all too problematic for her to really close in. Meanwhile, bottom lane, this is a very tall angle that we're actually looking from. Gotta really get used to it, but overall, I think what these members of Absolute Zero wants to achieve is that you don't want any casualties. Any kind of gains is definitely a surplus right now. Meanwhile,
looking at the J4.
Yeah, he's already going for a deep invade, and he's being able to really take off that move up away, I do believe. So that being said, though, probably a very steady start. So what's going to be interesting is that top lane matchup, because Zisune, he's having such a high pressure building up against Musagi.
And we're looking at the outdated drafters now, is roaming. These guys are professionals. They are so used to these kinds of tournaments that they're just taking damage for fun here. Look at Zisune. He has no problem with just taking damage. He just wants to deny everything that Musagi can do here. And, these are very professionals. And technically, outdated drafters are the one expected to win this game. So can the Absolute Zero side be something that they never actually won against outdated drafters? This is a fact, actually. This is a very fun fact. Absolute Zero, Kingsman, or their previous names, never actually won against outdated drafters. They've faced off so many times. I probably think it's around 5, 6, 7 times, but they've never actually won even once. So look at that balling here. The Maokai is going to jump in. Camille just going to poke him for fun today.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of miscommunication because they dropped those wards into that same bush at the very same time. And just like that, one sweeper will just clear off all that minion, and now this is a wave building up that could be potentially a dive, so Zisune really has to respect that. Doesn't have the elbow available just to clear off the wave. But he's still gonna be sniped right from across, and just like that, it's first blood for Absolute Zero.
First plot for L7 Yoon with the spear hits onto Zisune, a bit overextended, overconfident there. Most probably gonna expect that to dodge that, but Nidalee, you still have to respect that Nidalee spear in the early game. If it hits, it's gonna pop you like a balloon, man. And yeah, even though J4 was already coming in the top lane there, but it's a bit too late, and Absolute Zero manages to get first blood for his team. Nidalee, once ahead, you know what's gonna happen.
Well, yeah, he's just gonna absolutely tear through all these camps and just continuously put the pressure on the side lanes. Zisune now showing some signs of struggle. That is the power of the Aatrox being displayed from the side of Musagi. Despite him not really backing for massive items just yet, they've already completed some of their boots available. Having that Mercury tread definitely at least negates a little bit more of that damage, but look at the spear connecting once again. Musagi now with the World Ender commits right through, and he's going to be looking to at least deny him a little bit of that space. Just doing now with the equalizer, lands it right through, but that's going to be able to go in for a 1-for-1 trade.
And the Oriana in the top lane as well. Can he get another trade though? The bot lane turret, Musagi is under under the enemy turret, and it's going to be a counter kill 1-for-1 in the top lane here. The top lane dead, the mid lane dead, the top lane of the enemy team also. That is actually a 2v1 trade.
Wow. It's just so explosive to kick things off. Both sides really
Bot lane?
showing a lot of interesting exchanges. And there we go. Gets him all rooted up as they're going in for emotion. And just like that, the rocket does strike, connecting right to a dot. And just like that, securing emotion off. And that is the lead now back in favor of Absolute Zero.
Yeah, and they are setting up something here because both teams are just killing and killing and killing. They don't want to start slow. They want to start aggressive. They want to take the first win for this game. You know, whoever gets the first win always gets the upper hand. You know, you only need to win one more game. So again, just forgot to mention about whoever wins each regional finals will get a first seed bye. So you're going into straight second round. So you don't need to play the first BO1 round in the playoffs. So yeah, it's a very important, and you know, even though these teams have all qualified, but yeah, getting the first seed bye is always very good. And looking at the bot lane, J4 might want to catch something here. Will he jump onto someone?
Well, probably not the right timing to do so because Dragon's going to be up in about 40 over seconds from now. So they're just setting up nicely. They do get the vision onto that Lily, so it is not going to be an easy gank after all. But Machel Love's going to be looking for something in return. You can see that emotion tries to at least be drawing a little bit more of that attention. When you're playing as a Camille support, surely you don't always see a Camille as the support, but it is a major threat once she drops that Hextech ultimate, so they will always be very respectful up against this Camille. Overall, another objective spawn up over the top side. We'll have to see whether they will be looking for, you know, objective trades, or are they actually going to double down onto a specific area. Very likely than not, outdid Raptors. They're looking to secure the very first dragon, and that's going to be Infernal. That's going to be up online, so no pressure for Love PL to be able to get that one in the back.
Yeah, and we're looking pressure from the bot lane as well. Corki needs a recall here. Maokai is delaying as much as possible here, and it looks like it's going to just deny the wave there. And yeah, I believe they're going to try to get the first threat in the top lane here with the Enchanted Ensemble taken down.
Oh, they're already setting things up over bomb side. They did, of course, have a decent exchange, though. A turret for a turret, as they are looking to at least break down mid lane. With the rest of the pack coming right in. Yunus actually land that arrow. Well, I say arrow, it's actually a spear. Make that a second one onto emotion as well. Well, I'm a little rusty, my friend.
No worries, so no worries. Those kind of, man, you Nidalee, man. Nidalee, if it had, looks like jumping onto the Sivir here, has to flash away, but that flash is not going to be useful because she is going to be taken down again by this Nidalee. This Nidalee is setting up the pace, 3-0 Nidalee. Those ADC in the backline have to be careful now because the Nidalee is definitely going to jump onto you, and a very fat Nidalee in the early game is not going to be a fun thing to deal with.
Not at all. Take a look at that. Already 3-0 with a Lich Bane already up online, already shredding through whatever that's right in front of them. Even though the frontliners are not exactly getting these items online, so at least in the early game, Absolute Zero is doing what they really required to do all along. So it is just about enough. Initially, I was talking about, you know, the lack of crowd control, but the Maokai absolutely sorts out all these kind of issues.
Yeah, the Maokai being there just to jump in with the ultimate there. Was it called Twisted something? I totally forgot what's the Maokai.
Advance?
Yeah, Twisted, yeah. It's a very old ability. I remember Twisted 3-line for some reason. And
that's a very old map.
The Twisted 3-line, we call it Twisted 3-line. And then the Nidalee gets another one. Hey, maybe share for your ADC mid perhaps, because if you die, your team might have an issue. But yeah, 4-0 Nidalee here now. 7k goal is very scary.
Yeah, meanwhile, bottom pressure coming in towards the side of Absolute Zero, which they're trying to deal with right now. They did pop the wall under, but there is not enough distance coverage, but there is the rest of the Calvert coming from the back, looking for a pickup, and yes, they will get it. Cataclysm does connect, but it does not really matter all too much because he's got nowhere to go. He flashes out, but can he get to safety? Yes, he does with the flag and drag.
And also a trade kill in the mid lane. Nidalee has been taken down by a tank Camille. How did that happen? You are 5-0. The Camille is with a... Again, I don't know what that item is called again. I totally forgot. But yeah, how did that happen? We have no idea. But giving the goal to Camille, that is at least a good thing, you know. At least it's not the carry getting that shutdown goal. But it's a very trade thing, and you don't want to do these kind of mistakes. But, you know, trade kills and ulti in the top lane here. Contra, up to you.
Love JL now moving right in, so that is pressure being negated after all. Jisune's been having a really rough time ever since, he's been pretty much the main target focus coming from the side of Absolute Zero this time. They'll be having a great
Ooh.
dive back onto them with all the members jumping right in. The TP set right through, and they want to collapse. Calculus without locking two members intact, but it's not going to be able to matter all too much because Yun is right here for the rescue, but they will be able to strike first, taking out the Corki. Yu is already out for Liz, and make that a double for Emotion. Is this going to be a triple? Not going to be quite yet. It is going to be that shutdown secured, but it is a lost cause, and somehow there's a flank coming in away. There we go, Musagi. Looking for his target, he flashes a wall. He does connect it though. Love JL, he's barely got enough mana. He is not gonna be able to really dive deep for that Javan. So call it a truce, but Absolute Zero, they did manage to relieve that pressure by the tail end of the fight. Wow.
Yeah, and they got so lucky that the Saver died there. If the Saver did not die there, taking the turret aggro was not a thing that the side of Outdated Drafters expected, but they surviving that long in that fight was crazy, The Hextech Ultimatum onto the Corki taken down, and Yoon, just couldn't navigate enough with all these tanks in the front line, the J4, Rumble, Oriana is always going to be a mess, and looks like a team fight is going to happen again here.
Ultimatum onto the Corki is. That's going to be the value pickoff that they're looking for. Just like that, Outdated Drafters, they're going all in. Black and Drac hits all in the move, and there goes another member down from the side of Absolute Zero, chasing in for the Maokai with nowhere to go, and that equalizer seals the deal. And just like that, Absolute Zero, they lost all the kind of momentum that they built for this Nidalee, and now Dragon's online, and that will be grabbed by Outdated Drafters.
Yep, looks like the Outdated Drafters will have to sacrifice this Camille most probably for that Dragon. Is going to make sure that the side of Absolute Zero doesn't get the soul here. Jumps onto the Nidalee. Nidalee will be the target here. Will have to jump away. Can Yoon run away though? Oriana chasing it down with the Silver Ultimate also available. But Corki, is going to be taken down. The Oriana as a 1-for-1 trade here. But looks like the side of Outdated Drafters is just going to make sure that just play safe, play calm. Do not rush things out.
Yeah. Love JL does actually spot Musagi. He's looking for a recommitment this time. It shouldn't be a concern for Musagi to continue on with this fight as they still have the Maokai jumping on board. Gets the Twisted Advance on top. Love JL does have the Steroid Beam pop out, and it will be a very blood-thirsty fight that we're looking at. Meanwhile, mid lane, another matchup between, but that one was absolutely won out by Outdated Drafters down in the bot lane.
The Javan into the Rumble Flamethrower was so crucial here. Double kill for that Rumble, triple kill actually for that Rumble in that fight brings him back into the game. We've seen Zisune was in a very tough spot throughout the whole game with Neela keep on ganking him all over again. And Zisune with the Rumble finishing the Oceanite Trident here. Those shields, do you even have shields from the side of Absolute Zero here? It's going to be, you're not going to survive the Equalizer from the team fight now on, and looks like the side of Outdated Rifle might be looking for a Baron here.
It might just be the case, but it's not going to be an easy task for them to actually drop it out real quick though. Now they do actually have some vision onto Love JL, but the question remains, do they really want to contest this? Because right at this moment, it really feels like the rest of Outdated Drafters, they do have the priority, they send that exit element alongside with the Equalizer, just tickling down some health bars, but that's not going to be quite enough. Camille will be the first one to go down. Meanwhile, this is just heavy casualties from the side of Absolute Zero, where they were too late to the party, and this is just Love JL showing how it's done as they absolutely shut them all down, and it's an ace secured by Outdated Drafters.
The side of Absolute Zero just couldn't find a way to get into those backline damages. Oriana killed, but Zero is still healthy and alive in this team fight. They have so much bruiser with the Camille, with the J4, with the Rumble here. The side of Absolute Zero just couldn't navigate enough, just couldn't give the Nidalee enough time. I would actually kind of question why is it not something way more crowd control-ish. Like you say, we're seeing that the crowd control is a problem now. The Maokai can do so much for a crowd control, and you couldn't crowd control anyone. So yeah, Outdated Drafters, very your draft is outdated, but you are still in the game for some reason.
Well, I would say that, old school is the way to go in this kind of sense. So I would definitely say that it just takes a little while for them to scale. And once they scale, look at this Sivir right now, absolutely rocking with all these the items up online. Navori completed, Bloodthirster completed as well, and they also do have the early portal reminder just to ensure that Musagi does not really get his health bars up in those team fights is going to be absolutely
Go
crucial.
Corky.
So this is going to be pretty hard. He has to really dash out with the Valkyrie, and now pressure's on that bottom lane. Top side also crashing through, which is now being handled by Musagi.
Yeah, and I really miss the old Corki where he could just package into the back line
Oh,
with
yeah.
everything. Oh, and yeah, trying to jump forward here is the J4. It's gonna get poked down, but with the only damage that you have is from the 13k needle, 10 kills, 4 deaths. That is a very scary needle, but your team 1-5-1-4, and looks like the side of Outdated Raptor might just jump here. Sivir Out is still not pop here. They just want to push this turret into the base.
Yeah, overall, I gotta say that Outdated Drafters, Love JL has been doing such an amazing job so far. Not even a single death in all these team fights has been absolutely outstanding, right? Where he's going mainly tank build on top of the Trinity Force, and right now it seems like they want to bait Yun into a trap, but instead it is going to be Maokai being caught off. Just like that, they have to bail out. They cannot afford to even contest this dragon right now.
Now you have no CC. How are you going to jump in? Musagi can do so much with those 3 triple knockups and Hextech Ultimatum onto the Aatrox here. Aatrox is going to be locked into the backline. Cataclysm locking onto 3%, but Maokai is still staying alive in the team fight. Jumps forward to Gwen, tries to snip into the backline, but the Sivir finally manages to get a kill. Rumble gets a kill in the backline. Double kill. Nidalee taken down. No more Absolute Zero. Absolute Zero does absolutely zero in the last team fight.
Absolutely, Neil. And now there's nothing blocking them to go in for that parade in the Nexus. And just like that, Outdated Drafters have outdrafted Absolute Zero here in Game 1.
Game 1 takes us into such a hectic first game. You know, this is how you start a tournament. You know, this is how you start an international. No, it's not an international yet. This is how you start a regional finals. You know, never start with a scaling drop. You know, let's just fight. You know, that's the idea. Let's just fight. You know, if you know what could happen, like personally for me, you know, maybe just share those kills to your Corki a bit, to your Gwen a bit. These will help these champion get those items. You know, as we go, we know Nidalee is a very good early game champion, but scaling into the late game against an Orianna, against a Sivir, you need your help from your late game scaler. And we know that this is actually a very, very standard draft from the side of Absolute Zero. So will we see what champion they pick next is always a question. Can they pick different champions? Can the side of Outdated Drafters draft better again in the next game? So we'll see how it goes. And props to the Outdated Drafters, the J4 men deserves the MVP 4-0-20. That is a very, very clean scoreline.
That's right. And on top of that, you know, Zisune, he was struggling at first, but eventually he's been able to alleviate the pressure because he was in the right place at the right time, dropping some really crucial equalizers. And on top of all the kind of help coming from Emotion, well, I absolutely remember all these names coming in from the old docs, of course, with Outdated Drafters, absolutely showing a great understanding of how they could basically have such a strong mid-game team fight potential, and they just basically played off of that. So that being said, though, of course, we'll go back to the drawing board later on. Yun did phenomenal here in Game 1, but we want to see a little bit more balance into the draft. So that being said, we'll definitely see a lot of changes because it's a fearless draft after all, but I want to see maybe a little bit more well-rounded kind of draft because you're playing a lot around Yun being able to try to really take off in the early game. But what about the mid game? What about that late game? Because I don't really see answers because Gwen needs a lot of items to be activated. You are parking her up in the mid lane, which she gets outranged by Orianna. It's not an easy matchup. So hopefully game 2, we'll see something special coming from Absolute Zero. For the meantime, we're probably going to go on a quick break. And once we come back, we'll bring you guys game 2 here in the WSPL.
You won't be seeing those champions again for sure. You can say bye bye to those champions, all 10 of those, and another 10 from the top left and also right. So we're going into game number 2. Fiora's going to be taken away, and this again is always a target ban. It's always a target ban. If you know that that team is so good in that particular champion, just ban it out. Just respect ban it.
Yeah, and I think like overall they've been respecting Azizune onto some of all these great fighter carries over onto the top lane, hence why you probably
Ooh.
won't see Fiora throughout the entire BO tree. Of course, the ball's on the court for the side of outdated grafters, and they will start on blue side this time, securing the Lucian for Dyrus to be, of course, churning some pretty massive damage if he does actually get a beautiful culling right through. So it's pretty standard. We don't really see too many of all these hefty supports coming into the first side of the draft. And to answer back, they're going to be looking to lock in an Ezreal. Very safe pick. And of course, we'll be able to scale throughout the game. So not too telling as to what they really want to cook up, but I'm liking the Gallo pickup coming in from the side of Absolute Zero.
You stole that out of my mouth, man. I was just about to say I like this pick. These two picks just look solid already. Galio and Ezreal. These two picks can never go wrong, and we'll just have to see how Absolute Zero do that in game, and we're finally going to get to see the new champion here, Rel, and also Ambessa. Ambessa not that particularly new, but Rel is still new. One meta that in the PC, sorry, it's not in the PC. In my ranked games that I have been so annoyed with right now is a Rel and also a Fiddlestick. The Rel's gonna jump in, lock you up with that Magnet Storm, and the Fiddlestick just jumps onto you, man. That has been my nightmare in my ranked games, man. So I please don't pick Fiddlesticks. It's gonna be a just full combo game here. But picking Ambessa, we know that is gonna help a lot. We've seen how Doran play in T1 finals. Ambessa just jumps into the backline. Can he lock this Ezreal though? That is always the question.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty tough to really reach the Ezreal. So priority would be either if you could find a jungler or you could just try to assassinate one of the front lines first and foremost. And it could be the key to glory for outdated drafters. So far, they've gotten good enough of an engagement tool for the side of outdated drafters. What they really need now is something that could match up to Galio without getting bullied by this Galio overall. So we'll see a lot of heavy bans onto the mid laner from the side of Absolute Zero. So first and foremost, Syndra already gone, and instead they want to take out that Olaf off the list as well. So it is going to be pretty tough into navigating what else is going to be left to play over onto the second half of the draft, where we're looking at Jax potentially being parked over onto the jungle. It could also be on to the top lane as well, but I think ideally you kind of want to send him to the jungle, let this board do his job up against the Mesa.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of a Kassadin here. Kassadin and Lilia are still actually open here, so the mid lane pick will have to be very, very crucial in fighting against this Galio here. And again, they still can flex though. This Jax is a very weird. Oh, never mind. A set is finally being locked away, and a set support is also could be a Galio support. So again, very flexy draft here from side of Absolute Zero. They want to keep things spicy, and this time around, they are the one that is looking way more tankier than the last game. The last game we've seen those 3 bruisers from the side of outdated drafters. So apparently right now, who is on the right side will be the one tankier.
Yeah, I'm liking the idea that they're trying to build this great wall for this Ezreal to really have a lot of space to play, but the rest of the outdated draft says, no, we're going to puncture through the wall. We have this Hecker that could just go on that onslaught, dive right into the backline and just start to seek them out. And maybe in the early phase of the matchup, things will be decent for the set. But now we're seeing a potential Master Yi. Okay, I get the idea because you have so many of all these frontliners that you have to stretch through, but instead, Twisted Fate will never really go wrong. So it's basically matching up to the global pressure. Once you do have the hero's entrance to be dropping right in, then you could also follow up, or it could be vice versa, right? So that being said, final pick. Is it really going to be that Lee Sin? Oh, beautiful. Lock it right in. Now, the big question remains, who's going to be the support? And it seems like they're going to, of course, put that Scalio over onto the support role. I would say that it does essentially what the Rel does, maybe in a little bit more offensive way. But then again, once this Gallo gets caught, there's no out for him to really get anywhere off the fight. So I'm not quite sure how this one's gonna go, but overall, outdated drafters, they still have a decent plan coming into this. So it really boils down to how well can they actually control the pace, the tempo, especially looking at the mid lane perspective, because this is a Mordekaiser mid lane.
Yeah, Mordekaiser mid lane. My question will be is he going to alt? Is he going to alt the Hacker? Is he going to alt the Rel to just negate that Magnet Storm? So it's going to be a huge question, Now Mordekaiser mid, you don't see this a lot. And last game it was a Gwen mid. So it shows that are you a top lane player? That's my question to you. Are you a top
I
lane
think
guy?
so.
Yeah, we think so. We think so, But Galio is not that hard to play in the mid lane, So but maybe they've been training this draft for quite a while, so maybe they know what they're doing. And if you guys forget that we have three skins to give out, actually three skins to give out. So do comment your IGN and which team you support. Maybe you have a particular player that you like. For example, you like I love JL because love JL apparently. I feel like it's a girlfriend's name. So yeah, so maybe your girlfriend wants to win you a skin or something. Just do comment. Do comment and make us hype us up. Our goal here is always to bring Riot back to our region. Just share the live, tap the screen. If any rioters come in, no, we're alive, man. We're alive. Please unite this Shattered Pacific. This Shattered Pacific Legion name is made especially for you to notice us, unite us. We are ready to unite it under one Legion. So yeah, again, both teams has a very impressive draft, but again, the Lee Sin pick, we've seen Lee Sin on and off. Can he pull off that Lee Sin though? That Lee Sin has always been a hit or miss, If you're good, you're good. If you're bad, you're bad. Like me, I'm definitely bad. Are you good, Contra?
Well, I'm decent, but I won't say I'm the best at Lee Sin or any part. But overall, Lee Sin is usually pretty much essentially simple in a form of tempo that you're trying to build in the early game. Very similar to what they played out back in game 1 with the Nidalee. So when you're having that early game, you really want to abuse, that tempo to try to form as much ganks as possible. Once it hits the late game, you might actually see this Lee Sin go on a little bit more of a tanky build instead of, full-on assassin, which we've seen in rank queues from time to time. It really depends. If they do get that snowball going, then that's great. As we now dive into the rift for round 2 between Absolute Zero as well as Outdated Raptors. Winner gets the bye into the next round. So, of course, this is going to be crucial for Absolute Zero to try to tie the knots, at least bring it to game 3.
Yeah, and look, ooh, I love the chroma though. I love this chroma so much. This set skin, I think it is a Spirit Blossom skin, and
I have that too.
yeah, that red chroma is just so goddamn sexy, man. As a guy, I feel something, I feel something with that.
Everybody
Yeah.
feels something about set, like a guy with the 8-pack abs or so will always be something to look at. And overall, set has always been that kind of staple, especially over on to the top lane where he's not easily bullied. And what's really interesting to notice that we're already seeing, decent exchanges coming in from inside of Musagi, but he's being dropped down to 50%. He cannot afford to keep getting all these free poke coming from Zisune.
Yeah, Mbessa is just going to out-trade you every single time. Yeah, you have that Haymaker shield, but again, Mbessa is just going to jump in, jump out that Haymaker. If it hits, it hits. But this is a fraud, Mbessa was so heavily criticized with his build with his champion kit when she first was leaked out the kit, because that is just a second something like Kalista or something. I don't remember what were people, but too many dashes. And looking at the bot lane here, has to jump away. Will the Ignite take him off though? No, he has to stay alive. He has to be the last hope for the Absolute Zero today. He cannot die this early.
Yeah, he still has a barrier up, so it won't be too difficult for him to really handle the situation, especially when he does have his turret ability online for him to just shit away. But, well, we're already looking at a double down onto
top lane.
Zisune again. What's happening up top? Is it going to be first blood? I'm not quite sure, but somehow he managed to dance a little longer until first blood is secured once more by Yun. In 2 rounds in a row, this guy is out for blood.
And looking at the bot lane as well, Karim and also Twisted Fate finding the bot lane here, jumps forward. The Galio is the only one alive in the bot lane here, not alive anymore, but it's going to be a trade kill. The Rel's going to be taken down as well, and that will be a very, very worth it kill for the side of Absolute Zero, but never mind, I take that back. I spoken too early. And
Yeah,
why are you here?
Oh boy, I'm not quite sure either. They're spending too long right down the bottom, but they might be able to secure one up against this Mordekaiser, who's only level 5. Will be able to at least get one free out of Dearest. He did not pop the exhaust because he knows he's in the lost cause, right? They spend too much time underneath their turret, and they just gotta, of course, give that one for free. Now, Absolute Zero, they did have some decent trades, but they did actually funnel into the right areas, because you're seeing 2 kills once again for Yun, and the other kill actually went to the Galio, which is rather unfortunate. You ideally want it on the Ezreal instead.
Yeah, ideally want it onto the Ezreal side, and Ezreal still doesn't have a tier though. This is a very... I don't know if oh, wait, do Ezreal really build that boots first? Because we usually see a tier, right? But maybe he doesn't want to cry yet. So, yeah, looking at the bot lane here, they might be a dive here. Lee Sin trying to find an angle here. And Emotion is in a very tough spot here. Jumps ahead. Two-shot Barrage is going to be caught with the Magnet Storm. Has to flash away. X-Tech Ultimatum. Oh, not X-Tech Ultimatum. Herox Entrance not going to save that. Ezreal, though, and Twisted Fate flying down here in the bot lane. Will he jump forward? No, Gallo is just going to make sure that he survives. Your ADC is dead when you gank. So, unfortunate for you.
A little bit late on the hero's entrance as well, underneath the turret. Always a little bit of a risky move to really pull off, but yeah, this Ezreal is not having the greatest start of his life for sure, but oh, Haymaker finally landing directly in the face of Zizune. Now, that's going to even the odds right now, as Musagi so far tries to power his way through. He still does not have much of an item. He completed the plated steel caps just to negate all these kind of pokes coming in from Zizune. But another one down right bottom, as we're looking at the Magnet Storm angle, but not quite really finding the mark just yet. And here comes William.
Here comes William and stuns onto the Galio here. The Galio is going to be a target here. Hecarim jumps forward, and the Mordekaiser drag is just enough to make sure that they stays alive for another day. 4 versus 3, but no kills has been given. And Ezreal a bit too forward here. Why are you so aggressive? Because Lee Sin is here trying to get the Insect, but the fear is just enough to make sure that the Insect did not go off. Actually did go off, but the fear was just enough. The ultimate from the Hecarim was just enough to deny the Insect, and that will be a trade kill. Emotions finally be taken. It's not a trade kills, actually. It is just 1 kill for nothing. Has to flash away, Dearest.
Yeah, Yun tries to really bite back, but a great response coming from Love JL, just understanding the mechanism to just absolutely cancel out that Dragon's Rage right now. Turret under pressure, managing to secure at least another plate will be really hefty for the side of Absolute Zero. But they went in for a lot of all these back and forth, not really yielding anything in return. That's going to be a decent exchange at the very least. But 30 seconds from now, that's where the big fight will happen, because the Drake's coming up, or we might even see them maybe going for a truce, settling with the ensemble. But for the moment, the goal lead is still in favor of outdated drafters, despite them being 1 kill behind. So we're seeing this very decent build coming in from the side of Twisted Fate, coming with a Rod of Ages, looking to scale up. So we're probably going to see maybe some deep dive bombs if he does have his Destiny up online. But for the moment, it is just a little bit of a dance of a parade around the Dragon Pit, and it is going to be a whirly call coming out through. Emotions now caught in between. Now this is going to be a tough fight.
Two-shot barrage is going to hit onto 3-4 members, but Hecarim finds the backline is going to feel everyone. Hero's entrance just enough to keep everyone alive. 4 versus 4, but the damage from the side of Absolute Heroes is just so much, and they have been chucked down until so much of HP. The Destiny from Twisted Fate is going to make sure that the side of Absolute Zero has to be careful. The yellow card is still available. Who he catches will get bursted down. The calling is going to be called here. Galio is going to turn onto 3. Hecarim is just half HP left, quarter HP. Will he be taken down? It's in the Mordekaiser. Brazil land, and Brazil takes him down, but it's going to be a trade kill. Ezreal is going to be taken down by the Twisted Fate as well. Set with the ultimate. Can he do anything though? It's a 4-member. Haymaker doesn't catch the emotion. Actually, the emotions is playing against us. Now emotion is going to be taken down with the ignite, and everyone is just jumping here and there and everywhere. And this is such a huge fight, and the dragon is still alive.
My goodness, somehow Yoon still survived out of all of that. It's just incredible seeing these two teams going on an absolute brawl where you see a couple of members have been taken down, but the fight just went on and on and on. And yet, the dragon still remains intact. But it is the second coming for the side of Absolute Zero this time. Fully charged up. They don't have a couple ults available, so it might just be a steal angle because Love JL, he does have his onslaught up online, but he is a little too late to really go dive bombing into the pit, so they just allow them to have that one for free. And that also allows Absolute Zero to also lock their eyes onto the ensemble as well.
Oh, jumps forward is going to try to lock onto the
Magna
Magna Storm, locks onto 2, has to just walk away. That is just a bit too over. I guess we don't have enough damage yet. I just realized one thing. We have 2 horses on the enemy team.
Yeah, and we really see who gallops better over onto the Rift. And hopefully they do reach the racing line, and here comes the TP. Destiny being called at the very same time. This is going to be a tough position to play from. The gold card lands, and here comes the hero's entrance onto Tree.
Onto 3 real entrance, but nobody's going to be taken down. Mordekaiser is in his own realm, finally getting out of his own realm. This Destiny Twisted Fate is going to make sure that he doesn't stay alive. His destiny is sealed. His destiny is dead. But Ambassa is going to be the one traded kill in top lane as well. Set always going to be taken down. With no Haymaker, you are not going to be able to do anything. Then again, the trade kills, overkills, overkills. This game is just all over the place. But Lee Sin got the Enchanted Ensemble there.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. Despite all these objectives all being secured by Absolute Zero, it was the positioning of all the members of Outdated Drafters. I was keeping my eyes onto Dearest, and it seemed like nobody has been able to really fully touch this Lucian, and hence why he's just getting all these free hits, and now you're already seeing him completing all these big items up online. So it is definitely a daunting task because you got this Ezreal who's so set back. 0-4 at the moment, only completed a Mana Zane. That isn't essentially an item where you really dish out plenty of damage just yet, so they really have to stall this for the late game. But when you get to that late game, you're going to look at a scaling for the side of Lee Sin to start to wither down in that sense. So definitely a very, very difficult stance for the rest of Absolute Zero to take. But I would say their team fights, they've been looking decent. Oh, speaking of the devil, it is just a solo kill from the ADC. Dearest now 5-1.
Bot lane hero's set is almost taken down as well, but Hakarim is going to find angle. It's not just Hakarim, the 2 horses going to gallop onto the set here. Magna Storm, Heroic Entrance is going to try to save the set here, but it's going to be taken down as well. Torn onto 2 on the backline, but there is no damage dealer from the side of Absolute Zero. Can they do anything though? Can the damage from Lee Sin be enough? But I don't think this Mordekaiser want to be in this position once he come out from his realm, and he cannot take down enemy. Lee Sin jumps forward, 2-shot barrage hits onto the backline. Galio is going to be taken down. Hakarim fighting in the backline. Yoon finally taking down the horse, galloping away, but I think the turret... chase back just a little bit more. And
what? And he still survives! He bought up time for the rest of the team to be able to just slaughter down the rest of Absolute Zero, leaving only Musagi. But what can he do right now? Mid lane is gonna crumble in an instant, but can he buy just about enough space, enough time? He yoinks him all the way to the back. But can he actually settle the score up against Hitsune? Haymaker! Not quite enough! Public execution to try to turn the tides around, but now he has to flash away. Destiny the gold card, and it does actually get this Twisted Fate into a godlike state.
This Twisted Fate is 7-0. 1 yellow card means you're stunned. 1 more yellow card means you're dead. That is how much damage the Twisted Fate can do. Now the Galio is going to be the next target with the Gargo trying to Heroic Entrance away, but nope. Set the Magnetic Storm by the emotion here. You know, this we're playing with emotions here. You know, it jumps in, jumps out. My emotion, my eye just couldn't see anything sometime in the fights. You know, it's just like one horse jumps in, Heroic Entrance there, and then why is the Mordekaiser in the backline? Oh, he's in the Brazil land, and yeah, everything was just fights and fights and fights. It's so chaotic.
It definitely is. It really was chaotic, but Zitsune, he was just tap dancing, tangoing in the middle of fight. You saw he was just so low, and he still committed, doubled down with the public execution to try to trade with Musagi. And even when Absolute Zero sends a few more members, he's still alive in that last fight. And you see, he's trying to go in for the bait and switch again because the rest of the horses, they're coming with a big flank. And is it gonna be emotion? He lands the Mountain Storm.
Magnet Storms on to 2, and those 2 members are probably going to be taken down in the next few seconds. Gargo just going to make sure that they stay alive for another second, but never mind. Galio's taken down, Mordekaiser's taken down, 3 more members alive, but can 3 members do anything here in the back line? The yellow card means you're gone again, and in the top lane, you don't even need the horse here, and Ezreal's last man surviving, and the 0-6 Ezreal is a 0-7 now, and with no items at all, I think this would be our first regional final champion for the MSB region. Outdated Drafter takes us to game number no more because this is a best of 3 only, and that will be our game for the MSB region. The PH region is up next, so it's gonna be very, very spicy.
A beautiful display coming from Outdated Drafters, and it is just absolute finesse where they managed to really get everything under the belt, maybe other than the first 2 objectives, of course, but overall, it was just impeccable on what William has been able to accomplish alongside with Darius. And then you have Zitsune. He wasn't exactly going to really put himself as the major carry, but you see how he always baits all the attention coming out of Absolute members, and they were all trying to focus down this Mbessa, but little did they know, it was always going to be a big trap, as he's always being backed up with Love JL, Emotion as well, where this has been an absolutely clean game overall for Outdated Drafters.
Yeah, it's Outdated Drafters just show that, experience beats all. They've played this game for so long. L7 has been quite nice. L7, Kingsman, now Absolute Zero. We have 3 different teams, but technically they're the same teams, yeah? So, yeah, they've tried their best, but never mind. You guys still qualify. You guys are the 2nd seed, but you guys have to play the first round. Outdated Drafters jump straight into the next round with a free buy. So I don't think there's anything more. We should head to our rest, and we will be ready for the next regional finals, which is the Philippine regions. We have 1.5 odds versus the Faithful Boys. So, who has enough fates? That is our question. And 1.5 odds, your odds is actually quite high if it's 1.5. It's actually 150%. So with that amount of odds, who knows, you're gonna take down the impressive Faithful Boys. So yeah, we're gonna see you in our next game. So we'll head back to the break first, and yeah, hopefully you guys still stay tuned. Odds, dude, I can't see. Welcome back to the Wild Rift Shattered Pacific Legion. So the Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei region, all done. Absolute zero. Get absolutely nothing. So outdated drafters win it a clean 2-0. And even though best of three, we don't get to see a three game. So there has to be a bit of a delay just to make sure that 1.5 odds and faithful boys are in lobby. So yeah, a bit delay, but there's not much that we can do. The time was supposed to be 10:30. We expected a three game, so that was technically a lot of fault on me. I kind of like forgot to make it 10 p.m. Be ready at 10. So yeah, if you want to find someone to be blamed, this guy. Okay, so again, thank you so much for our sponsors and everything. Thank you so much for you guys, the viewers. The taps has been a lot. I'm seeing like the last time I checked, it was like 38K. So maybe perhaps reach 60 or 100 perhaps. We never know. We never know. Riot, can you do something? Can you do something? But speaking of Riot, we have 3 skins giveaway from Riot, so make sure you comment which teams you like, which team you prefer, which player you see stands out the most, or perhaps just want to say congratulations to our regions and everything. So yeah, comment good stuff, and perhaps you have a chance to win 3 epic skins. So Contra, now on to your part.
Of course, it's been phenomenal to be on board this time around for the WSPL, and this will not be possible without our dear partners as well as organizers powering us on our journey to really find out who's the best Wild Rift team across the region. And of course, with that, we'd like to thank our funders, as we have the Malaysia Ministry of Youth and Sports, KBS, under the Esports Fund, KBS ESI, and of course our dear host at Instalock Esports, who's coming in hailing from Sarawak, together alongside with Unimas Esports Club, University Malaysia Sarawak Students Official Esports Club, and of course you guys in the WSPL community. You guys play a major role. And on top of that, of course, our main streamers, Gizmo Arena, they have been the experienced esports company, and Cyber Cafe in Sarawak bring you all these amazing action. And all this is supported by Unimas Entrepreneurship Center. So, of course, all of you guys, we can't thank you guys enough for having all of us on board. And now, speaking of getting on board, let's get on board to our next series, as we now have the Philippines taking their run here. It's the Faithful Boys on the blue side, kicking things off with a ban onto Senna. So once again, a lot of priority of bans are actually listed on the support side.
Yeah, support has been running down Rift actually. If you see your public game, it's different, it's very different in a lot of public rank games. But in tournament wise, Senna, Bot, Lulu, Yumi, those champions are so annoying to deal with. It's just let's just ban them out, but we're not seeing a Yumi ban yet today actually. So apparently the stray cat is, nobody's picking up the stray kitten here.
Well, who knows? It might just be within this series itself. And once more, we are actually running Fearless Draft, and you see those kind of boxes right down below. These are the boxes where if they played out those champions, then the next game, those champions will not be available in the upcoming game. So that's kind of how Fearless works, where we see more variety of champion pool being played out. Now, of course, that being said, we are seeing a lot of heavy focus onto the jungle bans as well. No Jarvan, no Nocturne, and also no Vi. So essentially, a lot of all these engaged tools are off the list. And we've seen before in the previous series that Camille being utilized as a support can be really pesky as well. So to kick things off, Faithful Boys, they gotta at least look for something that isn't all too telling on where exactly it goes, and the final ban goes onto the Kali. So, Dango, if you were to get that first pick, what would it be on? Oh, the Bard is actually available.
So, yeah, I was about to say the bot. I was about to say the bot, and the bot is locked. And yeah, the bot has been, with that ultimate, what's it called? Let me, Tempered Fate, is it? Yeah, Tempered Fate. Yeah. So yeah, it's very annoying. If it goes onto a very good bot player, it's just gonna stop whatever you're doing. And look at that, it's a Fiora pick in the top lane. We did not see the Fiora because he keeps on getting banned for the last 2 games, and Mundo is being hovered here. These two, man, it just annoys you so much. Mundo is just gonna stack HP and HP, and late game he's just gonna bonk your ADC. That is just one thing that I don't think it makes sense. I personally don't think that a tank should be doing that. But never mind. Looks like a Aurora is going to be picked in the mid lane here. Even though Nerf, you don't see him a lot, her a lot in the ranked games here now and then. But in tournament draft, it's still a very very strong pick.
Yeah, especially when she does have a ultimate available, is a very strong engaged tool for them to just leap in and out of the fight. So of course I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing coming from 1.5 odds, because you also do have great side lane pressure with the Fiora now being picked up. So I just really want to see how this one actually plays out. A little bit mysterious, as their names are what, player 1 to 5 at the moment. Once we load into the riff, I guess we'll really find out who's who. And overall, Bard as well as Lucian, very steady laning phase. I really want to see what is going to be their matchup later on, because they've already secured themselves what I deem to be the mid lane as well as top for the side of 1.5. And of course, they got to ensure that they get something to be just as nimble as an Aura. And Ari has always been a decent answer of choice for many players.
Yeah, and I was about to say that Lissandra is still open here to counter the Aurora. Lissandra has been also very good in this meta. Ari is still always a B tier rate currently, what we're seeing in this meta. So we don't see the Lissandra get picked up here, but we get to see one S plus champion here, which is the Lucian. Lucian has been, if you pick Lucian now, if you lose your rank games, it's technically all on you. And Zillion is, the amount of hate I hate this champion is just a next level, because he just always has his ult up. I have no idea how this guy always has his ult up. So if you're jumping onto the Aurora, you will have to always think, I have to kill this guy twice. I have to wait until the ult goes bye bye on cooldown before I go in. So it's going to put blue team is going to put the faithful boys in a moment where, should I go in? Should we go in? The Zillion is still alive. Should we kill the Zillion first? And they will have to think about their engage.
Yeah, true enough. And of course, that chrono shift is going to matter a whole lot. And sometimes you just want to wait until that chrono shift expires, where you just change target in the middle of a fight. And sometimes it's really hard to do. A very good Zillion player will always drop it in the very final moments. When you want to really secure it, he's just gotta say, nope, you're not absolutely getting that. So a lot of all this list of champions that could potentially go into jungle just gets absolutely eliminated. We have Jax as well as the Nunu now taken off the list. I think there's still a plethora of options available. I think there's still, some of
Shyvana.
these picks like Shyvana, Lilia, perhaps could also be played out. But then again, you have very nimble targets coming from Faithful Boys, so you ideally want another gap closer to really lock on the target. And looks like Rammus is also off the list, which we don't always get to see. Perhaps this is going to tell you that, hey, we're going to cook something that is going to be pretty hard for them to really deal with. So I want to see how this one plays out. Okay, we got the Ezreal to also answer to the Lucian. Last game, though, of course, it's different teams, but it didn't really play out all too well in that matchup. I definitely prefer the Corki over the Ezreal in that sense.
I'm telling you, if the Yi actually gets picked up here, because as you guys know, if a Ramos is being banned, a Yi is most likely going to be picked up here. They haven't picked a jungler here. The Yi would have enough ability and space to just go onto the Corki. That's the huge issue. The Zillion is going to be stopping those kind of engages, but never mind. The Xin Zhao is a way better pick if they're picking the Xin Zhao. But come on, make it fun. The first game, just pick a Yi. Come on, yeah, just pick a Yi for me, man. Just pick a Yi. We don't want to see you these kind of prior picks. Xin Zhao, the most picked champion in LoL PC in Worlds 2025. We don't want to see those. We want to see those champions that never get picked. Give
I
some love
see
to
those.
You
I
want
want
to
to see those.
Aww.
Because you think about it,
he
you can't just rely on the Bard, and it says, you know what, you banned Rammus, now you pay the consequences. So you did actually highlight this 1.5, say, we heard you, buddy Dango. We're going to bring it online. Nah, they're just trolling us for the moment. Amumu looks a lot better here because, first of all, you need somebody to really land those heavy crowd control, which is what's lacking from the side of 1.5 odds. So Amumu kind of is the be-all, end-all kind of answer to that. But on top of it, I'm just trying to navigate through onto this very interesting laning phase, right? Because top side, it's all about skill matchup. who's going to be the better trader here? Is it the Riven or the Fiora? I definitely do think that a very skilled Riven player can look for the timing as well. But if he does misland his stun and it gets repulsed by that Fiora, ooh, he's going to pay a
Yeah,
whole lot of troubles for that. So
and
that being
not
said,
just the stun
mhm,
though;
mhm,
it's a knockup as well.
yeah, it absolutely cancel things out. So side laning, absolutely crucial. So our eyes are definitely on the jungler and the mid lane to really set the tone for the entire battle. So Dango, I don't know where do I place my chips, but man, 1.5 odds, they're definitely having a very interesting comp. So talk to me, like Amumu being the crowd control machine. Are we expecting him to just go full on tank, or do you still think that is a possibility that you can make a AP Amumu work in this matter?
The fact that the side of Faithful Boys doesn't have like a proper tank, there's no need for you to the Amumu just go tank. Maybe just go for a some burn damage early game. With Bami Cinders and just go Roa or something Liandris and just make sure that you just do enough in the front line. Xin Zhao actually deal punch a lot. If you go full tank also you might disturb him here and there, but having an extra damage is always going to be helpful fighting against this not so tanky draft. And having the Aurora, if the Amumu get the ultimate off onto few people, the Aurora is definitely gonna just jump in and burst the backline. The enemy ADC will have to stay alive. That's all that's matter for the side of Faithful Boys. Both teams, this is the first game for the Philippines region. Faithful Boys on the left, 1.5 odds on the right side. Best of 3 games. Who will take the game number 1?
We'll have to find out. Steady start from both ends, but I'm seeing a little bit of a tussle going over on the top side. A very deep ward just to get a little bit more of that info onto the red side of the map of 1.5 odds, as we're already seeing some decent trading coming in from the Riven, landing two of the dashes. And of course, you're always going to, as a Fiora, you want to look for those vital spots to really proc so you deal a lot of damage, but that bottle's all the way to the back. Because oh, it does land, and now Zhang Guan. Well, I kind of botched that name. Zhang Guan, level 1.
Zhang Won, yeah. And
Zhang
the enemy's name is I win 1v2. So let's hope to see. Oh, looking at the bot lane there, Bard's gonna stun the Corki up here. Corki not gonna have much damage in early game. If the Lucian stays on the Corki, they might be able to take down the Corki actually. But looking at the top lane, still very spicy here. Zhang Won poking those flashes into the bush and flashes away, and both top lane are still fighting their ass off here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I absolutely enjoy watching this duel going on because we have to flash because he was flashing towards the spot where it could have actually proc another vital, and that could easily be for his blood. The good news is that now both sides of the top laners are flashless, and there's still Ignite available for the side of Jiangguan to look for another opportunity. A very deep dive over on the back, as this is a magical journey over on the back, and it sends the Sins out all the way forward. He does pull the flash over onto Aperon, but that does not yield any form of rewards up against the rest of 1.5. But they did actually pull a little bit of that chip damage on the turret. Oh, the boo-boo over there already. This will secure it, and it is a win 1v2, bringing the 1v2, and he still will be taken down the list.
That was so unlucky for Zane here. If he had flash, I was just about to say if he had flash, he had flash. I underestimated the turret damage a bit too. A bit too unlucky. That's a bit unlucky. But you still get the first blood for the Fiora is going to put your top lane in a very more ahead. Just going to make the Riven have a very hard time in dealing with the pokes, repose, and everything. And yeah, a very good first lane gang. Bot lane. Oh yeah, one question to you, Contra. Do you know what the circle thing from Zillion does? Yeah, that thing.
Oh, that thing? It's a time bomb. I believe.
Oh, never mind. The Corki is going to be taken down here. Flashes away. Finally using the flashes. And there just jumps forward into the backline. Lilia could not do anything. It's not Lilia. Aurora couldn't do anything to help his team. And anything goes away now just to make sure that the ultimate from the bot just to deny the turret and the side of Faithful Boys, showing that the boys are together today.
Oh my goodness. Look at how aggressive Faithful Boys are on that deep dive. And you just had that dash available for Evening Child to be able to secure One more in the back, and as much as those kills were funneled onto the Ari, I think it does him a lot of favor to really cook up maybe some of all these AP items up online very early on. Despite being, having a little bit more of an item differential right now, that Riven going in for a little bit more of that lifesteal versus
Ooh.
Sheen. So somehow he's still having some decent trades, but great read. They do manage to spot out the
Yeah.
jungle from the side, and he's trying to push back. But here comes Fuyu arriving to
Yeah.
the scene, and this is going to be a deep dive, forcing him all the way back. But is he going to hold firm though?
He wins 1v2, but can he win the 1v3? No, he cannot. He's gonna be taken down. Curse on the side. Mummy gets on the tree, but there's not enough damage from the side of 1.5 odds. Lily Aurora is just a bit too slow. Chomp's gonna miss, but the side of Faithful Boys gets the heist and finally runs away.
Oh, I gotta say, all the dives are looking super clean from the side of Faithful Boys. They just have this heavy setup, and this kind of rotations were being set all too perfectly, coming in from both Pits as well as Fuyu, being the playmaker throughout the early span of the match. It's only 4 minutes and a half, and we're already seeing 4 takedowns, or should I say, a total of 8 takedowns across the board.
Ooh.
Tempered Fate utilized, but is it gonna be good follow-up? Nah, not too much time for them to really form a response.
Oh yeah, continue about the thing. The circle thing made by Zillion is actually to slow-mo everything inside. So if you see a Jinx ult, the Jinx ult will go slow-mo, super slow-mo, and it's actually very fun to watch. And yeah, question to everyone's watching, have you guys gotten the new Jinx skin, the new, or is it Awaken skin? It's called Awaken skin, a new tier skin where you can just spend at least 30k wild cost to unlock tiers. Like me, I don't have enough to spend that much, but yeah,
Not a Jinx main, not getting
yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely not, definitely not. The skin is nice, but I'm more of a not a Jinx main. That's the only thing I can say.
I swear I used to spend so much on Wild Rift because the skins actually look, sometimes it looks better than the ones on, of course, the PC variation. I know like, if the writers are actually listening, then they might actually hate me for that. But hey, I would say you guys are doing a really great job at the back end to really cook up some really beautiful stuff for all of us to enjoy. Anyways, back in the matchup, I like the fact that they actually brought a very early Executioners up against this Riven, because those who do not face Riven all too much might not notice that she actually does have very strong lifesteal, especially now with the Eclipse being taken out on the side of the Riven for this early exchange. She's gonna have infinite amount of this dueling power,
Ooh,
and here comes
forward. Curse on the side, now to catch onto 3, jumping onto the back line, but Dampened Fate disturbed those fates. 3 people locked up, and the side of Faithful Boys will have to find the angle. They did find the ulted, so beautiful, but they couldn't find anyone. Ari is going to be taken down by that Aurora, and yeah, that was just a huge engage from Zane. Catches onto 3 Faithful Boys. A bit too over-aggressive there.
Yeah, I gotta say that there was a little bit of anti-synergy going on. That Tempered Fate was actually locked in very beautifully, but the thing about that was that the culling being brought right through did not really connect because of Tempered Fate as well, so that kind of wasted the Lucian's potential in that team fight, which is rather unfortunate. It does happen from time to time, but we got that 1v1. Still over bot lane, but he might just get out finesse in this 1v1, and just like that, forces a recall, blowing off a flash. Wait, they do still have to summon this up, so that's gonna be a-okay, but of course the Fiora still has the TP, will be able to rejoin. Not too much of a cause of concern as they do going for the exchange of lanes. Top side has already been blown up, so both mid laners are going to be handling that situation up top for the meantime. A very steady tempo being played out from both ends, as we're already seeing Luden's Echo on both mid laners at the moment. And that angle coming in from the Anything Goes earlier have been able to really land a beautiful snipe. I can't remember who exactly is taken down, but probably the Ari.
Yeah,
So
the Ari.
this is just going to be another full commitment because the rest of 1.5 odds, they're already on their way.
Ooh, that slow-mo. I love that slow-mo. I really hope it was the charm. If it, damn, that was so nice. And looking at the bot lane, there's gonna be dive. Riven's gonna be taken down. Bot's gonna be the next target. Turret, no more to save you. Bot, can he portal out? Though he does, but jumps into the enemy AD carry. Can the calling do anything though? The Fiora is just last HP, but the Fiora is not gonna be taken down. And Mumu safe, and just enough to make sure that 3 members of the Faithful Boys be taken down here.
That was just beautifully played out. 1.5 odds now puts the pressure through. And I would say the response was a little late for them to really conjure anything down the bot lane overall coming from inside of Faithful Boys. So both sides are neck and neck. And as a matter of fact, 1.5 odds are currently up ahead because they've already secured all these outer turrets already. Meanwhile, it's going to be a work in progress for Faithful Boys to be able to really have a decent form of exchange in essence, because you're still looking at this Riven to scale up. Is already having a shield, which we're looking at a potential Trinity Force to catch up to this Fiora as well. So side lane pressure is of utmost importance, and this is why this 1.5 odds team is just looking to really go in for some of all these massive fights over on the side lanes. Meanwhile, Fuyu just trying to see if he can draw a beautiful angle. He does actually connect us there.
Charm hits onto the Fiora, and because of the side mounting, making sure that Ari, the Tempered Fate, actually saved the Mummy and also the Fiora riposte, not in time, but there's not many engaged from the side of Faithful Boys. A really missed that by the Ari there. Charms beautifully, but a really nice counter engage from the 1.5 odds team. You know, they're doing quite bad early game, but they're kind of like in the moment now. They're in the zone.
Yeah, and now things are working like clockwork without the Orianna, of course. And look at the kind of response over the side lane. Oh, solo kill coming in from Anything Goes was just a stuff of beauty. He just absolutely blew up every single thing on the line, including the Ignite, including the ult, just to take out that Riven. And unfortunately, she does not have the flash. Jangwon just got to take a L right there.
Yeah, and we're looking at the 2k gold gap in the top lane here. The Fiora is 8k, the Riven is 6k. You know, as a Riven, you know, if you're behind, can you find the backline with the Zillion to protect this Corki, to protect the Zillion? Most of the time, Amumu will just be the one that jump in first. Riven will have to find those angles, you know, and those angles are not going to show up freely for you. You have to start the fights first. If the Mummy starts it first, you will have a hard time.
True enough, Dragon's on the line right now. Oh, Flash Charm! Does not really hit the mark as that Time Winder really buys so much space. And just like that, they now reconvene, looking for another angle of opportunity. Another charm misses, and here comes Sat Mummy.
Curse of the Side Mummy got onto 3, and Ari just bursted down by that Aurora, and he is 3v1 with the Gargo, the side of Faithful Boys, and is not going to deny on the fate. The flank from the Fiora is going to make sure that he stays alive with the Zillion. Oh, and will he be taken down? No, and 4 members. And all members actually from the side of 1.5 ult is still alive. Again, the Amumu keeps on getting those ults.
Yeah, they cannot just simply walk up just because this Amumu is showing so much presence. Does it actually lands a steal? He does! My goodness! He didn't have Smite Zane! That could have been his! But Fuyu somehow salvaged the situation by just throwing his first ability. I don't even remember what that snap was called already. But my, that was such a good read from Fuyu.
No, it's even slow-mo down. That's the funny thing. You know, the Zillion did pop the slow-mo thingy, you know, the slow-mo circle, and it still steals it. That is so funny. If the Zillion didn't put it down, it might be not a steal, you know? It might be, it's secured freely for 1.5 odds. And yeah, there you go, and the Lucian has to flash away just to keep himself alive. Will the double bandage toss hits? Nope, and that would be a Lucian without a flash, without the cleanse.
Yep, another objective up online. That's going to be a call for potential Baron right now. Gotta wait for them to, once again, clump up, though. 1.5 odds have been winning those kind of fights just because of all these massive AoEs that they have to deal with. And Apeiron so far played it out to a T where, you know, his presence on the Zealands is just immense, despite Fuyu doing a decent job on the Tempered Fate. But I want to see better follow-up coming from the side of Faithful Pride, because this is their opportunity.
Charm's gonna hit onto the Zillion, and the Zillion is no more in a fight. Fate of the Mummy is gonna be used, but the Baron is gonna be secured as well. The side of Faithful has to run away. Flashes forward. Bandage is going to be tossed. Portals away. The bot is in a no man's land, and he is gonna be the sacrificial lamb for his team to just run away, and that is a very respectable sacrifice. But Baron has been secured by the side of 1.5 odds. Now they have to defend this.
Yeah, that was a decent call for a contest, but I would say it would be better off for Faithful Boys to try to balance out the rest of the waves that have been crashing in from the sides as well. So Yeah, the team fight angle so far not looking the cleanest because we're expecting Faithful Boys with this comp to really go for pickoffs. And you see, On-Ups have been trying his best to try to land those kind of charm, but there's always going to be this Amumu. Zane's been absolutely a monster in the field right now. And take a look at the Fiora, 7, 1, and 2. This is going to be really, really hard to stop, especially when this Riven is put so far behind. Meanwhile, mid lane,
Ooh, Banish Toss hits the Xin Zhao. Has to use the ult to just disengage. But Curse of the Side Mummy actually is still on cooldown. If they keep this fight on, the ulti is going to be available for that Amu. But with no more ulti from the Faithful Boys here, it will be a very huge trouble. Ulti is going to be in 2 seconds. I believe this Amu will just find an angle to just jump in and just call for the Avengers to just jump in with him.
yeah, I like how you put it as the Avengers in that sense. Meanwhile, a free turret up mid side, and the pressure is on each respective lanes. They have a little bit at mid lane though, but of course, a deep ward planted in the mid over onto the lane ensures that they always get the visions done, and 1.5 odds. They might actually get a deep angle here. They don't really know where he's at, and there we go, a call for fight.
Call for fire here. Charm's gonna hit on to the Amu. Ultimate form that Zillion just trying to make sure that he doesn't. Can it be popped though? Can the Zillion make sure that the Amu stays alive? No, the Amu is gonna be taken down. Curse of the Side Mummy is gonna be very, very useless here. But L1 Jang
Top side though.
again in a very, very weird position, and top side is gonna
Nexus
be
already.
yeah. Man, this is like they are all inning on the side. Faithful Boys tries their best to just all in on 1.5 odds here, but they literally just forgot that there is a very split pusher god here. You know, if a Fiora split push, you don't ignore that, man. You don't ignore that.
Yeah, but at the very least, they can actually get a catch though. Temper Fate utilized, and that secures a big shutdown goal for Evening Child to finally get those bigger items online. Of course, with the dragon at stake as well, this is gonna be tough because who do you actually put towards the top side? There is a heavy wave, so I'm not sure if Faithful Boys want to fully contest this.
Yeah, and Soul is also available for Faithful Boys. If they manage to get this steal, they will be able to use the Ice Rake for this. Can they get the steal? The bot jumps forward, Charm's gonna hit. Oh, never mind. Amumu's gonna secure the Inferno Rake, Soul denied, and Riven has not be able to be in that fight because the wave is something that they have to be careful of. But looking at the side of Faithful Boys, they are still very, very calm. They take another objective. They are still in this game. They just have to make sure that every fight they take, they know where this Riven is.
Yeah, it's just going to be stalling for time because you just really need to ensure that this Riven gets another item up online just so that they can start trading back. And also, take a look at this Fiora already having the Blade of the Ring King Strikebreaker online as well. He's so heavily stacked up as he's just diffing the top side by 4k gold at this moment. And Zane already calling in for a potential Baron. But usually we use this as a bait to set up another big fight because right now that Fiora is still on duty over on bottom lane, and this is not going to be easy for Faithful Boys to fully commit because it will turn into a 4 versus 5 in an instant.
Yeah, the Fiora does has the TP though. The Riven has to do a lot, has to push, has to pressure the Fiora. If she can cancel the TP from Fiora, it's going to be a huge issue. But look at the Fiora just pushing the turret, man. 5k gold. Can this Riven deny this though? The question. Lucian has to jump back, has to recall just to make sure that the Fiora doesn't keep getting this push off.
Back
and
to the Baron though.
Back to the Baron. The Baron is still in pressure here. Will Zane keeps this pressure going? He just needs to find an engage. They don't know where the team is. And look at the Fiora. Jumps forward. Can he get the Riven in the base? No, the ultimate is not enough. And 2v1. I win 2v1, but not this time. And it's a shutdown onto the Fiora. And now the side of 1.5 looking for the time. Temper Fate blocks onto 2. Can they secure this Baron? No, it's going to be stolen by the Faithful Boys. The Faithful Boys leaves it to the Fate. And they finally secures the Baron, steals the Baron, and has to flash away 1.5 odds. Your odds is in very bad position now. The ultimate from New Zealand is going to make sure that the Aurora stays alive, but he is going to be taken down as well. Corky packages away and has to recall now, though. The base is in trouble if they don't.
Those two super waves, top side and bot side, is just living and buying a little bit more time for 1.5 odds, but they are crashing down mid lane, and that's just about enough members to eventually seal the deal. The Nexus now exposed, the Temper Fate locked in, and the Faithful Boys, they will triumph in an epic comeback, a massive steal to still get themselves the lead in the series.
That was such a patient play. They have to be so patient in that fight to make sure that the Fiora doesn't push, Then the Fiora just jumps in, gets a bit too, heisty, I might be able to kill this Riven. And instead, the Lucian is the one coming back to defend. And I don't think he expected that, The Lucian might be hiding in the back line in the Baron. They don't expect a carry to come and, help this Riven to defend this. So once the Fiora is killed, the Tempered Fate was just everything by the bot. Fuyu has been all over the place today, even though the MVP goes to Evening Child. But we know who the actual MVP is for this game. Fuyu has been messing up the game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. His Tempered Fates were on point, and there was that moment that he did manage to snare up the Amumu, rendering him unable to react to even get the smite down onto the Baron. And you saw Pitts just dove right in, Crescent Guard, and just secured it with his own smite, and that absolutely turned that entire fight around. And that bolt call that you mentioned, Evelyn Chow, of course, being a little bit sneaky about that 1v1 situation, and that guy says he get 1 versus 2, but he did not see that Lucian coming. Would you actually fault it on that Fiora for, over diving into the Nexus just to try to secure the kill? You can't blame him because he absolutely overpowers that Riven in terms of item differentials and everything else. So it was a little bit of a miscalculation from the side of 1.5 odds. But hey, this has been such a close series. Look at the score, 13-14. So that being said, the next game, I could see this go all the distance of all 3 games to be played out if this is going to be the trend that we're looking at.
Hey, it's 1.5 odds. It's, if you take it into mathematics, it's 150%. If 2 games is 100%, 3 games is 150, correct? 1.5. So
probably.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Am I cooking here? Am I cooking? or is it like what do you call hangos in? Is it in English? What do you call hangos in English? Or is it the bird? Yeah, or is my cooking burnt? That's my question. Yeah, overcooked. Yeah, am I overcooking? Yeah, so yeah, 1.5 odds still has 2 games if they really want to do it. They're playing really nice today. Maybe a small mistake, is crumbling under the pressure. That's all, And
yeah,
Faithful Boys, who can blame them? Even Chovy does. So yeah, so we won't be taking your time a lot. So both teams will be getting ready for the next game. So we will be see you guys in the next game as well. So yeah, we're going on for a break.
That was sick.
Dude, how even
Welcome back once again to the WSPL as we move deeper into this heated duel between 1.5 odds and, of course, the boys who have been able to triumph on the last round. I mean, what a massive comeback that was. You saw they were behind massively with even their inhibitor turrets down, and yet they've been able to just bounce back up. And of course, they have a whole lot of faith in order to pull that one off. Faithful Boys right now just needs one more win to just push right through to, of course, lock in their regional bout. That being said, Dango, I think like there's so much conversation going on right now about that series. Now that you have a lot of all these power picks removed from the list that Bart has already used, what else will there be left for some of these teams to pick up? We really do wonder as we go into round two. But man, that was just a fantastic way to start off the show between two of the finalists of the Filipino representatives.
Yeah, and Zillion's being taken away. Bard also being taken away. That is the most annoying champions. As in support, I think that is the most annoying one is finally gone. So I don't actually know what is left open that is in meta currently. Besides, if they do have potential to just pick Rel. Like we said, the support has always been the first prio pick in every game nowadays. It's so good. Support is just so good, but not being able to play Bard and also Zillion, I think, perhaps pick a jungler, pick something fun. Again, Master Yi is still open, man. Master Yi is still open. Bender Ramos picked Master Yi. I'm still calling for the Master Yi pick.
Well, you probably won't see it all too much in competitive play.
Who knows about that? But game five.
If the enemy does not have any form of crowd control, yeah, be my guest. Pick up that Master Yi. You could just absolutely stomp everybody out. But of course, we're looking at a bunch of carries as well as the list of jungle picks to be axed off the list. For 2 games in a row, we won't be able to get to see any form of Nocturne or even the Vibe because these are just point and click kind of ultimates where you could just absolutely just hop onto a target and just blow them up. So that's not going to happen in this series. Now, that's just one final ban on the first phase for the side of Faithful Boys, as this time they'll be on the red side. And that's going to be another new. So not too much changes when it comes down to the bans. And that is a first pick on the Rumble. We've seen it before that this has been a somewhat flex pick. You could still, some people run it up the mid lane. But I would still rather see it up in the top lane overall. So I went 1v2. He's going to go for a very ultimate kind of play. So this is telling you that 1.5 odds, they want to commit even more on heavy team fights, just like how they did with the Amumu being picked up last game.
Yeah, and J4 Camille is also available. The draft, that outdated draft they used, is also available to be picked here. And Irela is going to be the answer in the top lane, I believe. And the Rumble is going to have actually a very hard time laning because Irela will just dash in, dash out, heal up. And yeah, one of the huge counters for Rumble is actually Irelia. So, if the Rumble goes overheat, you do get more attack speed, you do get more damage from your ability wise. But if someone just jumps here and there, there's not much you can do. And the Lissandra finally going to be picked here. So both prior picks for mid lane is gone, and Lissandra is also up in the tier list. So yeah, finally get a pick for the side of Faithful.
Yeah, I really do like the amount of CC just with these 2 picks alone coming in from the side of Faithful Boys. So, of course, it's a little bit pesky to deal with Lissandra because she could just easily get a free stasis out of her ultimate. Now, a hover onto Rammus. They do lock it in. Okay. So this is going to be the answer to the Irelia because she relies a lot on the kind of stacks that she could get out of her basic attacks. And all you really have to do is just taunt her, and there's not much that this Irelia can do. You could just negate all these kind of dashes. Ooh, a Heimerdinger? Now, I'm looking at a lot of zoning potential coming in from the side of 1.5 odds, but this is a little bit off the course, but still, of course, I would still say is a decent kind of laning phase for the Heimerdinger to be able to have decent traits. But overall, I want to see, with the upgrade of whether if it's going to be the bots or the AoE bombs, it's still a very AoE team fight heavy kind of comp that we're looking at from 1.5.
Yeah, and I'm saying one thing here. If the 1.5 odd gets a fight in the jungle, 5v5 team fight, the Rumble is just going to use that equalizer. The Ramos is just going to jump. Oh, hello, screen. And also Heimerdinger is also going to just, maybe use the ultimate third ability. Is just going to stun everyone up to the back line. So do not fight in the jungle, I think, because fighting in the jungle kind of be in a very tough spot here. And, Ramos should just jump in the back line. And also going to be an answer to the Jin as well. They have two answers, a two in one. Technically, is a two in one. You can block the Arela, you can block the Jin with the Ramos pick. So Ramos pick actually quite nice here. I actually thought that it's going to be a Ramos for a Master Yi, but never mind. The counter for Master Yi is actually first pick here. So yeah, we don't get to see a Ramos a lot, but today we see Ramos. So okay.
Hmm. And of course, with the Jin being picked up, the last thing you want is a hyper push coming into your lane. So Saber has to be taken off the list since she's one of the safest ADCs to play out. Forcing even more of the options off the list is going to be another ban onto Camille, since we have seen a couple of Camille being played out as a support as well. So there's also a very interesting take that I do have. Like, what if this is a Heimer support? I think I've seen a couple of ranked games where some of these guys just create like this whole zone of area where, yeah, it's a perma push kind of lane. It is just what potential is, but overall, of course, we leave that for an afterthought. No Javan. Once again, this has been pretty much the same staple bans that 1.5 odds have been running it with for the past game, and they don't really have to do too much changes. It's really down to the final few more options. Nyla being considered, but I definitely do think that the Ezreal will have a better time, because when you have the fourth shot coming in from the Jin, you don't want to be that Nyla staying all the way up front. Aatrox locked in. That's going to be pretty much interesting pickup. So where exactly is he going? Is it a jungle Aatrox, if that's going to be the case? Because you already got the Irelia, you already got the Lysandra, and these are very farm-heavy kind of pickups. So Faithful Boys is absolutely cooking with this one.
Yeah, Faithful Voice is very cooking here. I don't think 1.5 hours can go better with this draft. They have the Heimerdinger already. So,
Uh,
if you want to pay poke just pay like something like a Heimer. Oh, so it means that that is a Heimer support there. Yeah, I was hoping it's gonna be like a Heimer Zyra. Because you were talking about
mhm,
zoning. So if it's a Heimer Zyra, then we're going to have a very annoying bot lane here. But look at the
mhm,
amount of tank the side of Faithful Boys has here. The Aatrox, the on if picked here. I realize just going to jump onto your backline. Can the carry stay alive? That's the question. Can the Ezreal ditch more damage? I always don't like Ezreal so much because of how single damage how no he doesn't have any AoE. That's the thing, he doesn't have any
mhm,
AoE, so it's actually very hard to kill one by one. So if you can kill the Jin, good, but can you at least do damage to these three front line? That's the question with this Ezreal pick here. So
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it really takes a very good Ezreal player to really, go in for a lot of all these DPS as well as skill shots to land in order to maximize all his stacks all together. So that's going to confirm it that it will be a orange support to match up against the Heimerdinger. I think overall it is still going to be a decent exchange, but with the Heimerdinger providing just about enough zone, this Ezreal is going to be a little bit out of reach, because once the Ornn dashes in, it's going to be pretty tough for him to really get out from. But so long as he lands any abilities, that's going to proc that Jin to try to really get the snare and then eventually come in with the curtain call. So I still really like the kind of team fight angles coming in, because that Ornn Horn, the Call of the Forge God, can really set things up nicely, providing a little bit of vision, and that knockup can really lock a certain target into space. So, it's really tough. Who do you think is gonna get favorite here in this draft? Because to me,
Looking
it's
at the
kind of
draft,
50-50.
really, for you, is it really a
Okay, maybe
50-50?
51%.
Okay, okay,
51%,
okay.
because there's a lot of all these melee champions coming in from the side of Faithful Boys, which I think is very item heavy, where you gotta essentially cook for a lot of all these items in order to have a mass effect, right? We're talking about an Aatrox, an Irelia, and I don't know if you want to get the Ornn to be super beefy or he's a-okay with some supportive items, but very likely not. They also have to consider the fact that he can turn some of all these items into a legendary item or a radiant item in essence. So that is, the longer that they play, this Ornn is just going to buff up the whole team and just item stacking.
Yeah, and fun fact, okay, the Lissandra counter in the mid lane is actually Garen. So it's a very funny, funny interaction. But Lissandra, with the amount of CC that she has, Garen's second skill actually just kind of deny a lot of it. With now rework Garen's shield, Garen's second skill actually has a shield on top of it. So the Lissandra is going to be having a hard time to just push this wave because Garen can just fight him. And looking at the top lane here, Irelia, Jangwon level 1ing those fights here, but the grasp from the Rumble manages to just steal some health away.
Yeah, he's just got to replenish with a couple of fruits. And like you did mention about this kind of matchup where, as much as it's technical, usually a Rumble is a lane bully, but not a bigger bully than Irelia. She's really chunking down those health bars. And she's got a lot of all these stacks just ready to have a go at this Rumble. So that flamethrower is only gonna be good enough for him to just really chunk out some of all these waves in essence. But yeah, back to the Garen versus Lissandra. If you try to poke out that Garen, he's still gonna regen regardless, and we're seeing a scuffle for this Scuttle.
The Scuttle for the Scuttle jumps forward. The Ramos gonna get caught here. Will he be silenced though? Jangwon in a repose position in what do you call that thing? And flashes forward. The Ramos gonna be taken down by that Irelia. It's gonna be a trade kill. Top lane gone, but Rumble's still alive. Garen is still tanking the front line here. Will he do anything though? Has to flash away. Rumble is in an overheated state. If he auto attacks, he might be able to do something. And looking at the small Yolder finally here, charge. Sun's gonna hit, and that will be an on being taken down. Flashes has to be used as well from the Lissandra. Fights again all over the place, man. I'm getting confused here and there.
My goodness, I would say, is it really worth it just for a Scuttle? I would say so, but 1.5 odds, they did a really good job to really turn the fight around because the rest of Faithful Boys, they over-aggressed. You saw that deep dive coming from Jangwon to dash so deep into the pit of 1.5 odds, and she got punished for it. So back towards the steady laning phase, this Garen...
Look at the lane, Ben.
Yeah, it's just going to be easy for this Garen to just spin and clear out all these rune waves, and overall, it is just going to be a rinse and repeat process. But the only problem when you're running a Garen in the mid lane is that you're easily spotted once you try to get across the river. It's going to take him some time to even consider a gank. But if he does successfully cut across, then it can be a little bit more problematic, especially if you go towards the top side where Irelia is defenseless up against the Garen.
Yeah, and looking at this, looking at the amount of poke that Lissandra does, and Garen has a Tabais. That is not a magic resist boots, and Lissandra just does nothing. Look at this, he's just standing there, I'm gonna heal up. I'm gonna heal up. That's what the Garen does, anything goes, Oh, nice recall though. I've never seen this recall.
Ooh,
got
okay. The wolves going on right there. So I also want to mention that top side, you can see that he's going full tank on this Rumble. Bomby Cinder, and you got the Tornmill up. Well, not Tornmill yet, but Bramble Vest on top of a Tabbies, which is just going to be a full stack of armor just to alleviate what kind of damage this Aurelia could actually bring to the table. So they kind of solve one equation of just denying this Irelia from getting even more potential kills if he were to dive into a front line. But the other problem remains is that if you're actually doubling down on defenses, who's going to be doing the damage?
Yeah, and you have an Ezreal. So, you have to really get further into the game. You really have to carry this Ezreal, the fool. I really have to carry this game, man. Like you said, jumps forward, Lissandra jumps forward, the Call of Torch God is going to be called here. Lissandra's locked up, the Heimerdinger, Garen flashes forward, the Judgment onto the Jhin. The Jhin is no more, but the top lane as well, Rumble, and also Ramos is going to be taking the Irelia as a sacrificial lamb here, and Lissandra is just recalling there, and look at this Garen, man. I hate looking at this, man.
Oh, I mean, you're not going to look for it for all too long. I mean, he dove into tree, expecting he could go all the way up to the Lissandra. She's got 2 bodyguards. What were you thinking, right? So, yeah. Okay, 1.5 odds kind of overcooked that one, but Hey, it wasn't all too risky. He was just trying his luck, I would say, at the very least. He's also running Ghost, which is why he's just speed running all across the map in that sense. So, going back to the drawing board, I definitely do think that Faithful Boys, they do have decent priority on some of all these objectives, but we gotta see what Zane brings to the table later on. He's already got the Torn Mill up online. And
Yeah, and Tomil
overall,
on the Ramos though. Oh, is he gonna
oh,
jump in? He's gonna jump in. That Lissandra will have a few seconds to use his third ability again, but not enough time. Garen is gonna spin, and gets the Lissandra down. It's gonna be the first death for the Lissandra. Garen is just showing how much this counter does, how much he denies Lissandra overall.
yeah. And on top of that, she didn't have her ult available in that fight as well. If she does, maybe she could just buy a little bit more time just so that she has her turn ability up to just dash away. But overall, this Rumble has been able to at least get the full platings done. So that's been a great exchange over on the top side. Meanwhile, Dragon absolutely free for the taking since Lissandra is just coming back from base, so they don't have that party. They will go for the ensemble instead, so it's pretty much 1-for-1 on the objectives right now at the 6-minute mark. And as much as they want to try, you know, like this guy, he's already got pretty much a Black Cleaver up online, enough health bars, enough cooldown for him to continue spinning.
Yeah, it's nobody is building MR. It shows that the Lissandra threat here because of how much annoying this Garen can be. And dude, come on, I hate looking at this, Garen is just such a champion that, oh man, like you go tank, you still do damage. You go AD, you still do damage. Like, come on, man, this is just nonsense. Darius is still counterable technically, but Garen is just like,
Yeah, I actually think that this is like, you know, a secondary variation of Fatimo in essence. Just that, yeah, you kind of need to answer to him because you can't just ignore this Garen. This is why that Lissandra does actually pop the ult, and he's just gonna go away, but not too far. That will be absolutely stopped by 1-ups, getting the trade in return.
Yeah, but look at how much they spend. A flash from that Aatrox, Call of the Forge God Lissandra has to ult as well. So luckily enough, there is no objectives is available alive to be taken here. But if there is, it's going to be spent a lot. Oh, looks like the Ramos is trying to get the Jin though. The Jin is just going to walk away a bit too over-aggressive from the Rumble, but the top lane turret is going to be taken down. It's going to be a trade turret, and it's going to be the first turret for the side of 1.5 odds.
Yeah, and now I start to understand the kind of itemizations coming from 1.5 odds, right? The way that they build the facility is just to eliminate all these kind of threats, but meanwhile, nothing's stopping the Jin from getting his 4th shot right through. And Aperon just bows out instantaneously. There's just no way that that Heimer could walk out of that alive, despite burning that flash.
Yeah, and looking at the bot lane here, Ezreal is not doing a very good time here. Whoever picks Ezreal apparently has a very hard in every game, and I really don't know if you should really build Mana Moon, immediately. Aren't you supposed to like stack the tier first and then go into Triforce first, and then look at the mid lane here, engage from the Ramos here, trying to catch the Jin. Jin has to flash away, equalizer very beautifully, and he is going to catch the Jin off. Flashes away, has to be used. Aatrox with the Death Ender, just going to walk around, and Garen just doing Garen things again.
Yeah, they're just going to apply a little bit more of that pressure up in the mid lane. It goes overheating, and that Ramus Rover commits, and they will get the dive with the Judgment as well, collapsing into the first turret, and they will still be able to walk out with those kills. And instead, it's going to be a massive response coming from Faithful Boys, as the massive shield's now getting procced up. He goes knocking up in the air, but that does not deter this top laner, as that Rumble will still fall, but at least he gets things done. Here comes the curtain call. The Fool, he's got and he will be sniped down.
He will be sniped down by the curtain call. The Dark Harvest is just gonna be a cherry on top for the Jin. He's gonna stack up the Dark Harvest. This is a first collector stack, if I'm not mistaken. The later the game go, the higher the collector stacks with the Dark Harvest as well. The Ezreal or the Heimer is going to have a very hard time to even step up. Ramos might just jumps in, Garen might just jumps in, but can you defend your ADC though? Can you defend your carries though? And again, like you said just now, Contra, is there enough damage here from the side of 1.5 odds in the later stage of the game?
Yeah, starting to show that you might still be overpowered with all these kind of damage output, especially when you have two Trinity Force being cooked up from the Irelia as well as the Aatrox, right? So Pitt, he's just gonna have a smooth cruise to try to really shred through the front line because all they need to bring up later on is gonna be a Black Cleaver. And speaking of which, Fuyu tries to get some stuff done as he tries to create a little bit of space as they're setting up for the next objective. But for now, a recall comes through from the side of Zane. Will he be having enough time to reach back into the pit? I mean, all he really has to do is commit his ult, dive through the back of the Dragon Pit, and he should be able to look for a steal, as we're looking at the Rumble needing to find a good equalizer to really deny Faithful Boys from getting their hands on this Drake.
If this Irelia or Aatrox can find a weird angle to just navigate around the backline, try to find the Ezreal there, and look at the Rumble is going to get Chi-Chi saying knocked up into Frozen, but he still stays alive though, because this is a full tank Rumble here we're looking at. Call of Force going to go on to 3. One person is going to take down Irelia, finally not in the game. Then the side of 1.5 slot looking to just take one by one down. They want to play this front and back. Garen's gonna get the judgment onto the Aatrox as well. 3 kills onto 2. And the side of Faithful Boys will have to just play this slowly again. And Curtain Call gets onto the Ramos here. The Ezreal, the fool, is the fool that he stays alive or gets another kill. But the Jhin just does too much damage, and that will be a quadra kill for that Jhin.
It's a perfect 4 for Jhin right now. They got the dragon up for grabs. Here comes the TP coming for the Rumble. They have to call this one off. They're too low to contest this, unfortunately. And he's going for the chase. Is he going to be able to get it? Well, we got to tilt the camera angles a little bit. Thank you very much. All right, Flash committed. Gets to Lissandra. Is it going to be 2? He gets overheated. He's under a turret. And the equalizer misses. He gets his life up for it, but he at least gets the job done.
Oh, if he had... I actually thought the Lissandra died. That's the thing. I actually thought the Lissandra died. I was like,
was close.
Yeah, and look at the dragon here. Both teams really want this dragon. They spend a lot, and Lissandra has to recall. Jhin not available, not alive here. And I don't think Faithful Boys is in a position to fight for this, but they do have the Irelia, they do have the Aatrox. All the Force God is going to be used here. Ramos is going to make sure that the dragon is going for them, and Ezreal is going to be in trouble. Is going to be taken down in the back line here, and looking at both sides here, Faithful Boys is in position. There is no carries from the side of 145 odds left. The damage from the Heimerdinger is not going to be enough. The ultimate from the Sun is gonna lock this Ramos up. Can this Ramos run away though? Judgment from the Garen almost takes down 4 members from the side of Faithful Boys. Has very, very low amount of health, but they just cannot chase. They can't chase. If they over chase, the Faithful Boys will just jump onto them.
Yeah, that was a beautiful flank from Jiangwan to really set it up with the Vanguard's edge as well. And just like that, catches out those members off guard, and they've been able to retaliate. Now, Faithful Boys, they will call for a Baron bait, and now they collapse once more. This Garen has to yeet out of the way, and Jiangwan, he's still going for the chase, and now they got him rooted up intact, and we're looking at an ace angle. The rest of 1.5 odds is battered and bruised, and Jiangwan is still in the Rumble.
Jiangwan is still chasing that Garen, and Call of Force God might hit the Fool here. Definitely gonna hit the Fool here because he already used the Arcane Shift to make sure that he just gets a field gap. But yeah, has to jump away. Rumbus with that ultimate as well. The side of Faithful Boys is just on track here to just get the second win for today.
Oh my goodness, the way that Faithful Boys just double down on the aggression. They just merely set this Baron as another trap to really have the rest of 1.5 odds scrambling for space, scrambling to even get anywhere close to the pit. You saw what really went down. Zane was absolutely trapped with 4 members onto him the moment that he even sets foot anywhere close to the Baron. And just like that, they just managed to really pin out one after another, and Faithful Boys, they got this pretty much under control. Now, goes back to the question, was it worth it to build a Rumble tank? I think it's not paying off.
Yeah, I think it's not paying off. You know, there is a respect where the on-build a force of nature, you know, just, you know, the amount of damage Heimer and Rumble can do, but, you know, you still need damage, man. You already have the Garen, you already have the Ramos here. So you don't need another tank. You don't need 3 tanks, you know. So Rumble tank, I don't really, you know, it's funny how your Rumble tank is the most gold in your team. Now, call the 4 shots, you're going to call Arcane Shift, jumps away, and that is Heimerdinger is going to be busted down. Calling is the curtain call is going to zone the Ezreal away. He has to stay alive though. Jin is going to be target. Evening Child has to run away. Anything goes, trying to find something here. The Fool jumps forward. The Jin is still freely attacking all around with the Ghost. Just jumps. Oh, it's not Ghost actually. It's just his crit passive is just it's just very fast. And this fight, man, I don't know what to say anymore at this moment.
My goodness, Jangwon absolutely zoned out 2 of these members from even trying to do their best to even find any response to defend their turrets, and now they're already knocking out 2 inhibitors with 1 fell swoop, and that's just how they've been able to just run right through any form of these members of 1.5 odds. Is it safe to say that this game is pretty much over before we even break the Nexus? It might just be it, but hey, that's going to be a catch coming from the Rammus, but he doesn't have the damage to stop Evening Child. And look at how quickly he just gets out of the party. He still has the Guild Force up, and this is going to be a big committal with the Ornhorn being called right through. He gets the double knock, and now they collapse.
They call out the curtain call is just the cherry on top to make sure that nobody runs away, and that is going to be an unstoppable for that Jin, an 11-3-6 with almost 10 collector points here. That Jin is just doing a lot of damage in the backline with 1.5 cost, not being able to find any engage properly. Up, Lysandra's gone again, and you know that has been juking me a lot right now. And looking at the side of Faithful Boys, they just want to end this game as fast as possible, and Jin got executed by the base.
Oh, just a little bit of blunder, overcommit that back by time. He gets the shutdown on the Aurelia. Jangwon's already out, but he gives his life for it. Will Ender being popped just to get out of the way. They can secure themselves the Infernal Drake. And there is going to be a big bounty on this one. So 1.5 odds, it's still not over and done just yet.
It's still not over until it's over. That's the name of the game, man. You still have a chance to come back. You know, the last game you got come back, you know, so perhaps it's time for you to bring the enemy strategy up your book. You know, play this calm. Do not rush things. And Dragon is going to be half HP now. Can the Aatrox get here in time? Can he steal this away? I don't think he can. And that will be a Mountain Soul for the side of 1.5 odds. It's going to help them stay alive a lot more. With this tank build, it's going to be shield on shields here. You know, getting the Dragon Soul is just going to delay the game a bit more longer for your team to, you know, get some items at least.
Yeah, no, I do believe this actually changes the narrative a whole lot. With the Mountain Soul, the Tang Rumble is gonna get so much beefier, and now Fuyu's in a little bit of a pickle. He does not have the Force God up online, but they will still bring in the Curtain Call into the fight.
Yeah, I'm looking at a two-shot barrage from that Ezreal. Does nothing, and the Garen trying to do something here. The Jin gets a double kill in the back, like Heimerdinger is no more, and knocks up the Rumble tank, and Zonya's gonna make sure that the Jin stays alive. Oh, Lysandra stays alive for another second, and I don't think the 1.5 odds has anything left in this game, as the side of Faithful Boys is looking to end this. Irila gets another kill onto the Ezreal. The draft is a very bad draft, and perhaps we could just end this as fast as possible, and that will be a legendary for this Jin. The side of Faithful Boys living it to the fate, and they are going to get the free buy to the second round for the WSPL Shattered Pacific Legion.
Just flawless 2-0 victory for the Faithful Boys as they clinched this massive win. I would say that they were cooking something interesting coming in from 1.5 odds, but it really took a while for them to really get stuff done. And overall, you look at all these kind of bruises up in the front line being all too much for these members to handle. As much as we've raved about, oh, Garen does actually counter the Lysandra, but you gotta remember this, the Lysandra is not the focal point. Who you really want to catch is gonna be that Jin. It's 15-4. Nobody gets to touch him. He's got the Gale Force also online. If you try to get anywhere close, he's just gonna dash away. And that's just gonna be so troublesome because you got a lot of all these kind of picks that essentially can only lock onto one target, but even if you try to send the Rammus at this Jin, he's not going to be holding on for long. As you got to consider, there's that Aatrox, there's that Irelia, and all these kind of items that you cook up, doubling down on that armor, and still no Randuins to deny those crit chances. It is not really the most essential, so I would say that it was a good try. It was still a very good try from 1.5 odds.
Yeah, and your Rumble is being your tank rumble is being the most, most amount of goal in your team SVP here. It shows that everything is wrong. It shows that everything. The rumble is supposed to be the tank. If your tank gets SVP, your damage dealer, where's your damage dealer? Like we said, we are so worried about the 1.5 odds damage dealing potential. The Heimerdinger doesn't have enough. The Garen is still technically a tank. He can tank a lot of damage, can do damage wise, but not enough. So the side of 1.5 odds, you still qualify. Don't worry, you still qualify as the second seed, but maybe perhaps, draft something way more conventional for you, because this is a very weird
Off
draft
the
in
wall.
our, yeah,
This
off
is
the
off the
wall.
wall.
Yeah, so it's something that if you pull it off, I'm scared that it might be in my rank games, but I mean,
It's probably gonna be better, right? If they do
yeah,
actually pull it off.
so I'm happy that it didn't went it didn't went through, so yeah, so this will be our last game for today. Both team just clean sweep everything. So tomorrow we do have the Myanmar region, we do have the Philippine, we do have the Indo region as well. Bumblebee will be facing against the Unexpected. Fearless is going to be facing against the Last King. So these two teams are the finalists of their region. So whoever wins again gets a bye into the second stage. So yeah, I guess there's nothing else for us to say besides the sponsors again, Contra.
Yeah, of course, it's been a great pleasure to be casting alongside with you, Dango, for the very first time, and hopefully more to come for me. But I have to, of course, just watch on by since I got stuff to do. So I hope you'll be able to enjoy the entire course, especially you guys who've been watching. And all of this, of course, will not be possible without our dear partners as well as organizers to be bringing the WSPL to everybody to enjoy. And with that, we'd like to thank the funders, of course, KBS, ESI. They've been absolutely great as they have been supporting all of the youths in esports from across the region. And on top of that, thank you so much to Instalock Esports as our host of the entire WSPL. And I'd like to also thank the co-host, Unimass Esports Club, University of Malaysia Sarawak Students Official Esports Club. On top of that, our main streamer, Gizmo Arena. Big thanks to the guys literally getting everything done for us. You guys can actually check them out because they're having a cyber cafe back in Sarawak. And all of this is supported by Unimass Entrepreneurial Center. So, of course, once more, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. So, catch you guys once more tomorrow, same time, same place, as this is Contra and Dango signing out.
Oh, I fucked that up a lot.